Hello and welcome to episode 31, part 1 of TNA Top 10, Andrew. How you doing today, bud? Lots
One
going
of
on
the
this weekend.
one of these days you're going to deliver it with confidence.
I
Today's
was
not that day,
confident,
and there's a
a
reason for
little
it, which
smile.
I'll let you explain to everybody. But I'm doing fine. We're here. It's off WrestleMania. Um, they don't pay me to plug it. We just got done with the first live recording on the Arn Anderson Four Horsemen Network live on YouTube. It's the only place you'll find it now till it drops on the audio feeds. But every other Tuesday, essentially, um, they're going to be a live recording of Arn 6 p.m. Eastern time. We don't use the word standard time because it annoys Terry, particularly now that it's daylight savings time. So we're going to say Eastern time, which is in fact the only time zone that matters because it's where I live. So all the rest of you are wrong and I am right. But other than that, Terry, everything's good. How are you, my buddy?
I'm doing well. I actually got a nap today. To be honest with you, I told my lead at work at like 2:30. I said, "You know what? I'm exhausted. I stayed up late last night for no reason. We got some goofiness going on here. But I went home and took a nap. That's what
You
I'm
suck.
saying. Producer's trying to mess with me with that "you suck" because she's telling me I suck because I ended up getting a nap. But I'm trying to
And
wake
she
up
didn't
somewhere.
apparently.
Yeah, hard day at work for the producer. Sorry about that. But so much stuff going on this weekend. We talk about what do we want to do. We're trying to not have really long episodes because we could get too long. We've done that before. We've had 2.5 hour episodes before. We don't want to do that anymore. So this week we decided we're going to chunk it up a little bit. Tonight is going to be wrestling alone. Nothing but wrestling. Something else could come up. Who knows what we'll talk about. But we're going to save the NCAA tournament information for episode 2, and we're going to have a whole bunch of other stuff, fat taxes and that kind of thing. So a little foreshadowing there. But
NAIA landmark decision on sports and what is they're moving forward. Yeah, we got a lot. We got a lot. It
yeah.
was a big week in sports there, Terry.
So what we want to do is we don't want to rush topics. If we got 20 topics, we don't want to spend a minute on everything because that's just stupid. So let's actually talk about things, flesh it out a little bit. And tonight we're going to talk wrestling. And here's the thing. Obviously, we've got the WWE, we've got Hall of Fame inductions, we've got WrestleMania, 2 nights of WrestleMania, huge stories there. Is there even anything worth talking about from the other channel this week, Andrew?
Yeah, they're trying to be relevant. And they're trying to be relevant with what I would think is clickbait. They're going with the all-in backstage footage, and Tony Khan is apparently confirmed with Sports Illustrated. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I've just this is not in the notes. I'm doing this off the fly. He had done this with Sports Illustrated, saying the Young Bucks will indeed release actual footage from the All-In event, the incident with CM Punk and Jack Perry. Rumor and innuendo says that not the show with our man Dom, but just rumor and innuendo in general on the Twitter says this is going to make CM Punk look very, very bad. I'm of the opinion you're all adults. Fucking fix it and move on. CM Punk isn't in the company anymore. What benefit does this do for you other than we all want to see it? Let's be honest. We all want to see it. So it is if they make 1 million viewers, okay, great for you. But what we're about to talk to is arguably the most important thing that's happened in professional wrestling since Black Saturday, and we'll get there. That's my position on it anyway, and that is the death of Vincent Kennedy McMahon in the wrestling business. Like I said, we'll get there. AEW, um, Swerve's I know you didn't catch all of it, but Swerve is a
No.
baby face. The fans have turned him. There
I
is
love
no way
Swerve.
around this. He's so good, and he gets it. So he and of course it's a contract signing in professional wrestling, Terry. And ever since Andre and Hulk did it with the cross getting ripped off Hulk's neck back in '87, You got to have physicality at the contract signing. So there's
Right.
physicality. Swerve gets the advantage. All of a sudden, Joe turns the tables, headbutt, puts him through a table, leaves him bleeding, and Swerve says, "You're going to have to try some more." And I mean, he is going to be the quintessential babyface. They're doing to him that turn, and it's organic and it's natural and it works. I just don't know that Dynasty's the place to put the title on him. I would wait till Vegas, but if you wait till Vegas, now you've necessitated a rematch, or you've necessitated a screw job of some kind or whatever. And I'm not all about that. But the other thing is the Young Bucks, of course, we talked about. They're making the CM Punk the tag tourney. FTR beats Top Flight, so now we know the tag team championship main event once again. FTR, Dax and Cash taking on Nicholas and Matthew in the tag team finals for the tag team championship.
Let's
And
have it.
yes, we've seen this before. Arguably the two best teams that I mean, the Young Bucks aren't my brand, but they are arguably the two best tag teams in
Right.
AEW. Um, and then the last thing Adam Copeland addressed the CM Punk interview with Ariel Helwani, where, CM Punk was highly critical of AEW, said they had two very different visions of what it is, if it's a business versus a wrestling fantasy booking, that sort of thing. And Copeland came
Yeah.
out and did the thing where he's sticking up for Tony Khan and AEW. You get everybody on the AEW roster sending out supportive tweets and this, that, and the other. The problem is when they all do it at once, it's fake, it's false, it's mandated, it's not true. You're not getting anybody to buy that they all believe that way. And I really think that's a problem for AEW optically. I also don't believe all the horses are pulling the wagons in the same direction inside that company. Again,
Right.
something very different we're going to talk about in a minute, that started at the Hall of Fame, and they continued it right on to the opening segment of Raw last night. So, um, AEW is AEW. I'm a casual viewer at this point, and this is
Hmm.
coming from somebody who
I'm a
was
bit of a
so excited.
non-viewer. I watch pay-per-views at most.
Yeah, I was so excited in 2019 when they announced Double or Nothing. I went to
Yeah.
Las Vegas. I saw the match between Cody and Dustin and still argue it's the best live match I've ever seen. But they have lost me. And part of what loses me is the political bullshit in the back, the backstage, that we're gonna release the CM Punk video. Dude, who cares? Number one, I don't like CM Punk anyway. It's not like I'm defending the
Right.
guy. I don't like the Young Bucks, if truth be told. So I don't have a dog in this fight other than fix it and move on.
Yeah,
That's
and where
that.
I stand, it's like I want to like CM Punk. I think some of the things he said were accurate. And you kind of alluded to it a minute ago. It's like there are some issues with the way the company's run. But I'd also have an issue with he said, "Hey, if you got a problem with me, come to me." Well, that's what happened that night. Well, who was the aggressor? That's the question. If the story is different than what he said, if they didn't just beat down the door, kick down the door, and come in storming in there, but you got to think if you're telling these guys, come to me, and they come to you, why do you have a problem with that? And I have problems with people at work sometimes. Sometimes you just got to
Yep.
deal with it. Be an adult and deal with it and move on. And we're going to find out a lot, hopefully, and find out some truth. That's the only part here, because I know you just expressed it a minute ago about CM Punk. I probably like him a little more than you do, but it will be kind of nice to get a little more truth out of this. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So why don't we move on to WWE? Because I think we said enough about AEW. Like we said, we're casual viewers at most. Let's start with the Hall of Fame, sir. What's your impressions? I think Paul Heyman may be part of this response here, huh?
Loved it. Yeah, yeah. Well, he's part of this response because I am a Paul Heyman guy and love the Advocate, Special Counsel, and Wise Man. I don't know you could name anybody more deserving of a Hall of Fame honor currently visible in wrestling than Paul Heyman. the beauty, I saw some criticism, I heard some criticism about his speech when he said, "If you think the spirit of ECW is dead, you can suck my fucking dick." I liked it, and the reason for that is because it was Paul Heyman being Paul Heyman. Do you think Paul Heyman had nice things to say about Eric Bischoff and Vince McMahon in the mid 90s when he's doing everything he
Not at
can to
all.
make this rogue company ECW work? Um, and I don't think he had anything nice to say. So when he says, I want to thank Dusty, and he looked Cody straight in the face, said, "I wish your dad was here." Because
Yeah,
Dusty Rhodes gave Paul Heyman an opportunity to sit in a booking meeting and learn from arguably one of the greatest bookers professional wrestling has ever seen. You got Eddie Graham, you got Pat Patterson, yes, you've got Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard, and you have the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. It's a short
absolutely.
list of who's on that list. And Paul Heyman gets to sit at the feet of Dusty Rhodes as a kid. What was he, 18 or 19 years old, sitting in a booking meeting, listening to Dusty Rhodes put together professional wrestling matches. But what Paul Heyman also did was acknowledge that we have entered the Triple H era, the Paul Levesque era, and that is a theme that we saw all the way through. And it started at the Hall of Fame, and Heyman hammered it. And then you saw it on Saturday night, you saw it on Sunday night, and we saw it last night on Monday Night Raw. Paul Levesque, Triple H, the 14-time world champion, is firmly in control of the future of WWE. The other thing that this designates is it is the death of Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon no longer has the influence over the company to the point where I believe he's selling over 1 million shares of TKO this week, they reported. And you're talking about now his overall ownership will be 4%. At one point, he was the majority owner of the company. So you talk about wanting to get him gone. Now, of course, it's a huge payday, but
Yeah. I've seen
it could.
criticism this week about reactions from some of the WWE staff and people about what happened this weekend being a little overboard. But I think what we got to understand is this is more than Cody winning a title here. There's a lot going on here.
Mhm.
You know, obviously, we'll talk more about the actual
Yeah,
show
and
later, but there's a lot of emotion because they are in a new era, and that really officially started this weekend.
and that was the point, and it was hammered, new era, new era, new era. But everybody take a deep breath and understand this for 1 minute. Vincent Kennedy McMahon had nothing to do with WrestleMania. Vincent Kennedy McMahon created WrestleMania, and for the first time in 40 editions, had nothing to do with what happened Sunday night, what happened Saturday night. I always say Sunday, but we know now it's a two it's a two-part show.
Right.
But these days anyway. But my point is, for the first time ever, Vince McMahon did not play a role, did not factor into WrestleMania. Huge, huge, huge deal. And it can't be understated. It's his company. It's his baby. The very first WrestleMania was founded on him selling back the Turner time slot that he bought and ended up on Black Saturday in July of 1984. He sells the slot back to Ted Turner and uses that money to finance the very first WrestleMania, where we saw the advent of sports entertainment to the nth degree when it's Mr. T and Hulk versus Rowdy Piper and Paul Orndorff, with Billy Martin, with Cyndi Lauper, with Muhammad Ali, with Liberace all showing up. That trend has not changed in 40 years.
Well,
Even
now it's
this
Bad Bunny.
WrestleMania. Now it's Bad Bunny and Snoop Dogg, and
Yeah. Oh, Snoop
little
Dogg is
Little
great.
Wayne was there, this
T
year.
Pain was there. T Pain goes to every wrestling match he can. That guy loves
He's a
his
huge
wrestling.
fan. Huge
Huge
fan.
fan.
But I cannot understate this for anybody that loves professional wrestling. The WWE is in firm control once again of the wrestling business, and it
Absolutely.
is being led by Triple H, who is a wrestler's wrestler that creates professional wrestling for the fans. You know why he creates it for the fans? Because they're his consumers.
And the producer makes her presence known, cheering that
But
statement.
they're the consumers. If I'm not watching it, Terry, it doesn't matter how good your business is.
Right.
If I'm not going to the arena and I'm not buying merch, and speaking of merch, I heard this on Arn's pod because he and Paul were talking about it. Cody Rhodes, $1 million worth of merchandise sold over WrestleMania weekend.
Wow, that's
Confirmed by
crazy.
Fightful. $1 million. $1 million worth of merchandise in a weekend. You don't think he's over like Rover, as they say? Cody
Absolutely.
is Cody's the face and the leader of WWE, and we'll probably get into that. But my closing thoughts: I'm excited to watch WWE again because Triple H has been hitting it out of the park, but he's been hitting it out of the park with that gorilla in the room named Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Vince is gone. The witch is dead. Okay. There is no more Vince. It's Nick Khan, it's Triple H, it's The Rock, and it's people that they choose to surround themselves with. And buckle up, Buttercup, because I promise it's going to deliver. And
And
that
it's gonna
event in
get so
Paris,
good.
coming up, Backlash,
Yeah.
secondary pay per view, my ass, they're going to sell it out and make a huge profit because it's a European pay per view.
They're about to get really aggressive, and I'm here for it. And I mean, I'm having conversations with people at work about this because they know I like wrestling, and they know WrestleMania weekend just happened, and they know it was 2 nights, and they're asking me questions, and they're talking about tuning in for the first time in years, and that's where we are,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Yep.
great.
And that's the thing. It's becoming must see television again. But it's only must see because of who's creating it. Now, I will say this. It sounds like I'm a fanboy, and I am because I love professional wrestling. That's what Paul Heyman said Friday night. He started to say sports entertainment and changed to professional wrestling. If that isn't
That's
indicative that
awesome.
Vince McMahon is gone, I don't know what is because it hasn't been allowed to be called professional wrestling in almost 2 decades. And
Did
that
they
is
say
a
hospital
mandate.
somewhere in there?
Yeah, I don't know if they did or not, but that's one of his crazy ass words is
Yeah.
professional wrestling versus sports entertainment, hospital
Right.
versus medical facility, all that nonsense. But the other thing, and well, no, I'll wait. I'll hold it. I'll hold it until we get to
Getting ahead of
Cody's main
ourselves.
event. Yeah, I was. Bottom
Well, let's
line,
go ahead and dive in, though. Go ahead. You sound like you got a big statement here. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say bottom line, it's a new day, and no pun intended, because I love those guys too. But WWE is about to launch, and I I think for old school fans like me that have been watching it since I was 4 years old, or not quite 4 years old, um, the future is very very bright for WWE.
I agree, and I'm here for it. I can't wait. But let's talk about the weekend. More than just the Hall of Fame inductions and the speeches there. We had 2 nights of some pretty damn good wrestling, and it started out. Um, they started out both nights with pretty decent matches. They didn't build up to the end. They started out pretty good. Um, thoughts on night one before we dive in?
Hold on a second. You guys
Night one was
you can't talk about WrestleMania without me. I was there. All right.
Okay, take the floor.
live and in
You're
living
in the
color.
ring as we see. Go ahead.
Hi, boys. I will tell you what Andrew said really hit home. This was the first WrestleMania of the new era. It was my first WrestleMania. I am glad I've never been to another one because I would have been mad that I spent money on other WrestleManias and not this one. This was one of the best 2-night events I have ever been to. Cannot say enough about how amazing WrestleMania was to be in that arena field. It was just amazing.
Awesome.
Other than it was
We're
cold
clapping
on night
away.
one, so I
It,
hear.
it oh, that's just people who live anywhere south of the Mason-Dixon Those people were whiny. It was fine. I didn't even have to turn on my hand warmer.
Freeze. I can't handle that.
I would have been that person. I would have been that
Both
person.
of you would have been.
Screw that. Put me
I'm
in a
a
suite with some heat or
Northeasterner.
something.
I'm a Northeasterner. We have no problem with the cold. Bring it on.
Until you
Stop it.
relocate.
Well, until I
Then you can't
relocate
take
to the
any of it.
compound, correct.
Because I don't know how many
Yeah.
people I know that are from Buffalo or somewhere in Pennsylvania. They come down here and it gets like 55 degrees and they're freezing. And it's like, what are you? What happened?
Blood thinned. It took me 3 years to get used to the climate in North Carolina. I will never leave the South. And I mean that.
Oh, yeah.
Because I love it. I
I'd
love
rather
it.
not
It was
have a bunch
70.
of
It was 70
degree
degrees.
days in a row, but yeah, I don't want it cold.
But did we say WrestleMania night 1? Open
Night
it up
one.
with Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch. We know Terry loves redheads, but mommy is on
Especially
top,
Becky.
baby. She is the queen of women's wrestling right now. I don't know that there is a better female wrestler in the world than Rhea Ripley, or at least one that is on a hotter streak than she is right now. This is what I'll say, and I'll kick it to you two. I never thought Becky had Rhea in jeopardy of losing this match. Becky would get some offense, Rhea had an answer. Becky would get some offense, Rhea had an answer, and then she wins clean with her finish on the opening night of WrestleMania in a match that we all know those two women have the capability of closing WrestleMania, but because who did close WrestleMania night 1, they didn't have that chance. I thought it was a great match, good story, and it didn't hurt Becky to lose. It only elevates Rhea's profile to defeat Becky Lynch. So I think they did the right thing here. What do y'all think?
Well, obviously, I think Becky's really close to the top on the card and in my heart, obviously. But I thought she was a good opponent because she has established herself for years as at the top. But at the same time, just like you said, there was no reason for anybody to win this match except for Rhea, and that's what happened.
So, from my perspective, and I'm going to talk about this multiple times, the entrances that both of these women had were incredible. But Rhea Ripley's with her live band,
oh yeah,
out of control, fantastic. Because I can't remember the last time I saw something like that for a woman. That was groundbreaking for me, and it was phenomenal. And the place just absolutely ate it up. It was tremendous. Becky once again shows up with her insane outfit. I would like to note, did you notice Rhea's extensions? Her hair, where I would never put her above Becky, she wins in this one. Hair ratings, Rhea beats Becky hands down. Even with those gorgeous fiery locks, her new hair is fire.
How have we not gone to a top 10 hair yet? We'll do that eventually.
We'll get there. I'm not going to let anybody else vote, though. That's the problem.
Oh, well, yeah. You're going to hoard that one a little bit and be stingy with it.
But so that match was phenomenal. Rhea definitely had the win the whole way. I don't think anybody in the place thought different either. But it's truly fabulous to hear the cheers for her where, she bucks the norm, and I love that. I absolutely love that. And I saw people of all ages, all genders, all races cheering for her, and I was like, hell yeah, that's right.
Yeah, she's great.
She's universal to me.
Fabulous.
Yeah. Next match was the 6-pack ladder match, right?
Yeah.
Was it the 6-pack ladder match?
Yeah, that's what I had in my notes as match 2.
It doesn't matter. We'll get to them all. The 6-pack ladder match. The car crash. Terry Allison, take it away.
Well, so let me go ahead and get this out, and I'll just stay up top. And if we look back at what's been on the Ram Network, we'll throw a plug in for them if you don't see the logo behind Andrew here. But I believe, Andrew, you did the pre-show on the Ram Network, right? And
I
I did the
did.
post show. And what I said on the post show was, based on what this match was, it was as good as I would expect it to be, honestly, because we always see these types of matches where we got tag team ladder matches or whatever. And this one had two different winners. I mean, it was as good as it possibly could have been, in my opinion. And
Yeah.
it's good to see R-Truth get something once in a while. So that's the positive that came from it.
I will argue that R-Truth had the second loudest pop that night.
I don't think it's an argument.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'm like, and actually, I think I'm just right, because that place I went insane. I mean, like, who doesn't love R-Truth, right? The fact that he tagged himself in to the 6-man ladder match. What is happening here?
Even if it's the same jokes over and over again, I'm here for it. I don't care.
Ron Killings is fucking timeless. He's a national treasure. I mean, let's go.
This is the guy that went to the corner and grabbed the tag rope in the Royal Rumble.
Yes. I mean,
y'all remember how
DX.
Yeah, that and Shawn Michaels and Gargano. He's sitting there talking to Shawn Michaels or Gargano about he's talking to Shawn Michaels about how good that Shawn Michaels guy is, and it's actually Gargano. I'm like, what are you doing? But see, anybody else does that, it's fucking dumb. I mean, let's face it doesn't work. You can't get R-Truth does it, and it's money and it's television gold. And he did the same thing with that little Jimmy character he played, where little Jimmy was his invisible friend back in the day or whatever, and only he could see little Jimmy. You give that to anyone else and it's stupid. You give it to R-Truth because of the type of character he is. He delivers. And I think that was what was so good. Plus, like you said, he got the pop. They also did the right thing. They put the tag belts on some younger guys. They're trying to get established in Waller and A-Town Down. So they're Austin Theory. They're trying to they're doing that. That makes sense. A big bump from Ciampa off the ladder, delivering his finisher. Dangerous to me. Very dangerous. And it was in the street fight. I've got another dangerous spot that I thought was unnecessary. But one thing that was smart in this match, and this I did say on the post show of night one, the ladder bent. One of the legs of the ladder bent. They threw the ladder out knowing it was too dangerous to use and grabbed another ladder. Really smart, keeping an eye on that, because these matches people get hurt. Yes. And that was a safe play there. I thought that for what it was a fine match, but the novelty of the car crash has worn off on me because I guess I'm older now. I loved when Mick Foley fell off the cage June 29th, 1998, went through the cage. I was 14 years old. I thought it was the baddest thing I'd ever seen in my life. Now I'm like, God, don't do that. Yeah. Please don't. 20 years later, don't do that.
We see it so much, though. That's part of the problem. We don't save it for later. It's in your face from match one to the end on a weekly basis.
And you're desensitized to it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought it was fine for what it was. It wasn't my favorite match, but it's not my favorite wrestling style. So I'm not going to get into all that anyway.
All right. What'd you think of the next match?
Who was up next? Rey Mysterio and Andrade?
Yeah, that's it.
Terry, lead us off, because I've been talking too much. What do you think on this?
So obviously there was a little shift in the lineup here. Mm-hmm. Dragon Lee was not part of this match, like was first reported. But if I had to be quite honest about this match, it's like, probably the worst actual match of the whole thing, but it got better. And I know Allison knows it got better. And there's a big reason it got better.
I don't even think there is a level on the decibel scale to rate how loud my scream was when those masked men jumped in the ring, because you may think I didn't know this, but I immediately knew one of those men was Jason Kelsey, because I know what he looks like. And Andrew, I know you know what I'm talking about.
Mhm. She
I-
likes them thicker than a Snickers. That's what she's
I
trying to say.
It's
studied
a known fact. It's nothing new. I like them. I like them big. It's just my preference. But let me tell you,
Let me go eat a few sandwiches. I'll be right back.
this was the most exciting thing for me personally. But I would say probably about 50% of the attendees were from Philly. Again, another pop, another absolute hit home. And I don't know if you guys heard this, but apparently John Kruk was also supposed to be there.
Oh.
But he got sick and he couldn't be there.
Oh, I wish
See?
that would have been able to happen.
I know, and that's another one where I'm like, these are amazing things to have happen. Like
Yeah.
I would never think of this, and I know a lot of people don't like the gimmicky stuff, but
I love it.
you got an NFL superstar who just retired, who loves wrestling, and if you don't know that about him, he loves wrestling. And he had a spot at WrestleMania, like amazing.
That's great. And the thing is, you said you knew right off the bat, and honestly, I did not realize their size when they were standing on the outside quite as much as when they went inside. Of course, when you start standing next to Rey Mysterio, anybody's going to look like Andre the Giant, right? But I look at their masks. They were wearing Eagles masks. I mean, it couldn't have been more obvious, and I still didn't get it until they took them off.
So I heard something that bothers me as a fat person that goes to the gym. Somebody was body shaming Jason Kelsey, and I'm like,
Oh hell no.
that is a 6'3" or 4", 290-pound man that moves like a fucking cheetah, and he will. I mean, Terry, he jumped over the top rope like he's done it before, you know.
Yep. And he was in some big boots and stuff too.
Yeah, and he did it with ease. Terry will argue, I will argue. Maybe Jeff Saturday is the only one in his league, but Jason Kelsey, the greatest center the NFL has ever seen, I don't think he ever had a holding call. If I'm not mistaken, they never call holding. But
he had. I know. I've heard him. They had a whole segment about glove color on their podcast one day, and I thought that was really excellent. You know, the whole wear the color of the jersey of your opponent, so you don't. And he's like,
correct.
Oh man, I've never thought of that.
We are definitely New Heights fans here, so
yeah.
Shout out to
we are.
Pod.
And they had Arnold on it too recently. That's awesome. That Schwarzenegger.
You need motivation. Listen to that episode. My goodness, Arnold's ripping into you if you're not motivated to do something. We need to get Arnold and DDP together. I think the world would explode if that happened.
Absolutely,
it's ridiculous.
So.
Oh God, it'd be ridiculous.
Because all we've been doing is talking about Jason Kelsey. What do we think of the match?
The match was there. That's all. I mean, it was just there for me.
There wasn't much.
I love Dirty Dom. I love Dirty Dom. The man got booed at his own wedding. And anybody that could get booed at their own wedding, I promised Lindsay we would not boo her at her wedding coming up in Baltimore. But she said I might be able to boo Derek. So we'll see. But he got booed at his own wedding.
Before you move on,
booed
at the wedding, not very often. Booed on the honeymoon, maybe so.
Maybe so. That's terrible. But no, I mean, it was a match for what it was. Obviously, you knew once they put Andrade with Ray, they were not losing the match. Yeah. Again, a pretty obvious finish there. Dirty Dom flirting with the LWO, but also being part of the Judgment Day. I like him better with the Judgment Day. The presentation with him and Mommy is perfection. Despite the fact he's married and she's engaged, and I get it, you know, it's all on TV, blah, blah, blah. But what they do works because he's almost like a simp for her. And, you know, it works. The dynamic is there. I don't want them. We're going to get there to Damian Priest, but I don't want them to break up the Judgment Day either. Don't go down that road. It's not worth it. This is a money group. But anyway, it was just another match. You know, I think a star rating, it's 3 stars. There's nothing wrong with it. It just wasn't anything that I was like, oh, yeah, I want to watch that 5 times, you know? So my opinion.
I mean,
that's
I
all
would.
It is.
But just for Jason.
you fast forward to the end, yeah.
Yeah, let's just scream the end over and over again.
I mean, I'm being honest.
Yeah. Why don't we move on to the next match with I kind of categorized just the same as that match. It was kind of there. I mean,
This was my go pee and get food match.
yeah,
Say
I
no.
mean,
Jimmy and Jay.
if this was a couple of years ago and we
Oh,
say Jay and Jimmy, we're probably pretty excited.
Yeah.
I'm just not there anymore. I mean,
Nope.
it's not really that big of a part of the storyline.
and I think they missed. I think they failed to execute. It might have been nerves. It might have been taking for granted that we're so familiar with each other. I don't know. I don't know what it was. But what I do know is it was not good. And I was disappointed because, Jay's got one of the best entrances. You get everybody screaming yeet and all that.
Right.
But the 98 super kicks, 97 of which wouldn't crack an egg. We see that on the other channel already. This is your WWE version of the Young Bucks. They're a much better tag team than they are singles wrestlers, and I will stand on that. Um, that they were a much better tag team than they are separated. Um, and I don't know. It's just this was to me the worst match on the card for night
Okay.
one.
Yep.
I'd put this in the bottom position. And I was disappointed because I really thought it would be good. And I know it's something sentimentally they both wanted to do. They wanted to have a WrestleMania match together. They've said that publicly.
And I
I
get it.
just
You
I think
grow
it
up with your
failed.
brother
Yeah.
wrestling each other like that, and you want to do that. I
And
think
your
it's been
dad's
out
Rikishi.
overplayed.
Let's face it, your
Yeah.
dad's Rikishi, your brother's Solo. I mean, this is your cousin is Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Your uncle is Alpha and Sika. And,
Yeah, I
so,
would love to see us move forward, like you said, and I hadn't really thought about it too much. If and I'll speak to this later on, but whatever happens with the bloodline, I'd love to see them move forward, get back together as a tag team. They feed off of each other as a tag team, and they're excellent. Let's see that again. Let's not have the brother to brother, head to head stuff. Let's get back into them feeding off each other as a tag team.
as a reminder, and it was four great dance partners. Night one of WrestleMania last year, main event was the Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They went 40 plus minutes, and nobody got bored.
Mhm.
Right.
So
That's correct.
this
And
was the potty break match, though. That's a good way to
this
put it. I mean,
it
I mean,
was. It was
really.
mine. It was mine. I
Well,
mean,
you're probably
honest.
drinking enough that you had to do that, right?
No.
No.
I was
How do you
responsible.
go to a pay-per-view? Well,
All right,
anyway,
so
we'll move on.
maybe in the beginning.
Because
So
they
the next
cost too
Yeah,
match,
much money to drink beer
correct.
they do.
pay-per-view.
But once you
We
drink
found
a couple, you
by night
forget how much it
two.
costs.
By night two, we found the mixed drinks. We were good.
You know about them, don't you, Terry?
All right, shut up.
All right,
Let's
so
move
moving
on. Match
on.
5. We had Jade, Bianca, and Naomi against Damage Control.
Okay.
We know what this was about.
Entrance for Jade, Bianca, and Naomi. Epic. Where they were up on the platform. Absolutely epic. Also, let's not discount 3 beautiful, strong black women. It was outstanding. Outstanding in my head.
You know what? I don't. I'm not one of those I don't see color guys because I don't believe that's a thing. But I didn't think about it all being 3 black women.
Yeah.
It was just 3 women that I think are excellent stars together. And like I said, I don't. I
No, I get it.
I know. I'm not going to say I don't see it, but until you just said that, I didn't think about it at all.
I think it was. It was just so great to me because I loved seeing them and how happy they were for each other. Like, did you see? All right, so I'm skipping to the end. They won. Woo.
There
Did
was no
you?
doubt.
Yeah. And if anybody thought they weren't going to win,
Well, most people listening to this already know that, so
Yeah.
you didn't spoil.
True. Good point. Okay.
anything.
But the pure joy and love that these women have for each other and how excited they were, it was totally amazing.
It's good to see Jade here
Yes.
because we know where she's been. We've seen
Yep.
her potential.
Mhm.
We
Yep.
know that the crowd has been behind her for a very long time, and it is great to see where she's headed. And she's got a ways to go still.
Yep.
But they're going to do it for her. They're going to support her, and they're going to get her there.
I want to hear Andrew's comments on
Oh,
this.
I have thoughts. Number one,
I know what's coming.
this I made this punchline. I'm gonna make the joke again. This is the straightest I've been in 25 years. Number one, Jade Cargill and Bianca do it for me. They are two of the four women in the world that have a chance to nail me in bed. And there's a
Do
reason
they
for that.
know
They are
that? Have you let
they
them know?
don't, but I can make it public if we need to. I've told a
Pretty
lot of
sure you just
people.
did.
Yeah, number two, the Destiny's Child entrance. I love it. Jade is Beyonce, and there is no doubt about it. Sorry, girls,
Right.
but this is the person they're pushing. And it's
Mhm.
not that Bianca is not a well-rounded wrestler. It's not that Naomi is incapable, but Jade is the star. Triple H saw the airport look Jade Cargill has and the raw potential with that body. And let's remember, folks, she's a mom. So Allison's going to point out the fact that she's an African American woman, which is fantastic. I'm going to point out the fact this is a mom that looks like that. You could
Yeah.
tenderize steak on her damn ribs or her abs, okay?
That's right.
It is ridiculous. If she's got 5% body fat, it's all in her bra. And I'm not being disparaging. That woman looks like she is chiseled out of granite. The other thing WWE has that AEW doesn't have, other than the billion-dollar production and the history, the more important thing for someone like Jade Cargill, because she'll find the camera, they have the training center. AEW never took the time to train her. Now, the good news is WWE protected her in this match, and they protected her on the Raw match. She's in short doses. It's the Goldberg thing. You're not going to get 20 minutes out of Jade Cargill right now, and they're smart enough not to ask to get 20 minutes out of Jade Cargill.
Right.
She finished the match. She got the 4 or 5 minutes. She hits Dakota Kai with Jaded, and she does her signature 1-2, lick the hand on the 3, and the place goes bananas.
Yep.
And that's because she's a fucking star. And Tony
Absolutely.
Khan fumbled the ball. And I'm going to say it when we talk about Cody. He's a fucking star, and Tony Khan fumbled the ball. But I think, honestly, Jade can be as big a star as Cody, pushed the correct way.
Mhm.
And that's what we're going to see. WWE's already made it apparent. She's a priority for 2024.
That's right.
All right.
So the next match, and I'll admit, I listened to this one because I was driving home from our buddy Dave's house. Like, I
Dave
had
and the
to drive home.
HSV.
Otherwise, I was going to be there all night. So I
Part of
listened to
the
the Sammy
FFP
and Gunther match.
podcast.
FFP
Yeah.
Popcast, the Pop and Lock Network, RAM, whatever we call ourselves.
So I got my phone and I put it on Peacock and I listened. I wasn't watching the screen driving down the road much, but I did listen to it. So this one I didn't see what was going on. But I did keep up with it, but Gunther kind of controlled it, and Sammy stormed back at the end and won the title.
I don't have much to add to that. I mean, other than this was really, they were trying to wrench at your heartstrings with the storytelling. With Sami Zayn, do I think he deserved the title? Nope. Would I have taken it off of Gunther? No. But people seem to be happy, so
Yeah.
okay. I mean, I'm not mad, but I don't know.
It's probably a setup for later for Gunther.
I'm hoping the feud continues because I personally love Kaiser. I think he's fantastic. So I like seeing him more. So
What are you thinking, Andrew?
I like the idea of Gunther continuing to be the champion. What they did in this match was told the story of Gunther taking his eye off the ball, something he had never done before because he's taunting Sami Zayn's wife and all that. I thought it was a little cheap because he's been so laser focused. Obviously, Sammy gets the big WrestleMania moment. He gets the WrestleMania payday. But I don't think that it mattered that much for Sami Zayn to win this match, more as much as it meant for Gunther to continue his legacy of being the champion, the chosen one, the undefeated one. At some point, he and the American Nightmare are going to lock horns, and it will be fantastic when they do so. And it might be after Backlash. I don't know for sure. But what I do know is I was disappointed with the decision. The match was great. That being said, the match was great. But the execution and decision making, I would question on this one, only because Gunther's had such an epic run, and it didn't feel like Sammy beat him in an epic way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I don't know why we feel there's a necessity to take a lower level belt off a guy before he goes for a bigger belt. I mean, they've done it before. They've allowed somebody to be the Intercontinental Champion and win the World Championship. I don't know why that can't be seen as something. And if that's why they take it off of him, I don't see the benefit.
No, and I don't think they needed to take it off of him to advance him, and that's just
Right.
a personal opinion.
So let's move on to match 7, the final match of the first night. I don't know how much we want to talk about this one because obviously there's a lot more to this story to be told in night 2. But The Rock and Roman defeat Cody and Seth to set bloodline rules.
Please see my shirt. It says, finally, The Rock has come back to WrestleMania.
Awesome.
So this is like the best shirt I've ever seen. I like that they're kind of like playing on stuff with the shirts.
Yeah.
They had match shirts. Like,
that's awesome.
I thought that was so cool. I can't remember the last time I saw
Yeah,
a
you go to
match
AEW
shirt.
and you can't even find an FTR shirt, but
Yeah.
they've got individual match shirts. at
So
WWE.
it was phenomenal. And the second day they had champion shirts from the night before. Merch was outstanding. I bought 3 shirts and a hat. So
Oh,
oops,
man.
I just spoiled the
Big
surprise.
dollars.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Can't hide money.
Yeah.
She gave up the drinking to buy shirts.
I
and
did.
hats.
I basically
Yeah.
did. But they're not all for me, so I bought some presents. But
That's true.
this was, I'm going to say, went as expected. I was pleased that it was pretty much with the bloodline rules was what I was bloodline rules didn't really apply here. So I thought this was a pretty straight match. I enjoyed it extensively. Like, I thought it was done rather well. And just so you know, I actually watched WrestleMania all the way through.
Oh, we know. We got
After.
the comments in the text.
Oh yeah. But
At least who was hot.
well, that was for the
other
listeners.
than that.
Yeah, my thought is great match, an interesting finish because they pulled a Roddy Piper on us just when we think we have all the answers. They changed the questions, and The Rock, and we may get into this in a minute, but The Rock as the final boss and Roman Reigns as the tribal chief are naturally opposed to each other. You can't be a final boss and you can't be the tribal chief. They do not coexist. That's one person. That's not both. So there is a natural conflict just in the name that we've given these two characters. The second thing that I would point out that they left us is Roman had the win. Tags in the Rock. Rock hits the rock bottom, hits the people's elbow, gets the win. After using his position to threaten the referee, saying, don't call the DQ, don't count it out. I mean, it was some real good heel shit. They put the beat down on Seth Rollins as we expected, but this match went 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I was not bored. 40 minutes is a long time to keep a wrestling fan's attention these days without 26 tope suicidas over the top rope or Darby Allin doing some car crash bullshit or glass flying or whatever. But that's because we're old school here at TNA Top 10, and we used to watch Ric Flair go 45 to a draw. So I'm not really interested in hearing any of the nonsense about this, that, or the other. What I will say, the match served its purpose. You knew they were winning because they teased bloodline rules.
Right.
They pointed it out on Pondwater Dave's show with Amy as the guest, I believe it was, during the pre-show. Maybe Justin was there too. I don't remember. But the you don't tease that stip if you're not going to use it. You know what's the
Right.
point
Yeah,
of even bringing
exactly.
it up if you're not going to use it? And
You
we'll
got to
get to
make
that
the
over.
gauntlet harder for Cody, and it
We'll get to that
serves purpose.
overbooked shit in a minute, and I stand on what I said.
Well,
We'll
But
discuss.
this match wasn't so overbooked, and it
right.
featured The
That's
Rock. And let's
what I
face
thought.
it, 51-year-old PED Dwayne Johnson still got it. The man can still go. I mean, he was a defensive end for the University of Miami, Terry's favorite team. They shut out Nebraska that year, 19-0. Warren Sapp, he sat behind. So I mean, the guy's got some pedigree.
I mean, hold
Uh,
on. And let's also remember, he wrestled in briefs. 51
Yeah.
years old. His shape was amazing.
He's in better shape than he was when he was the champ.
I think he is.
Yeah, his presence is just
And that's the other thing.
undeniable.
Well,
I
Yeah.
mean, nobody has
That-
his. There's some big stars, but they don't have his presence at all.
No.
He can just stand there, and
Absolutely.
it's just, I'm
There-
trying to mimic it here, but I can't come close.
There is one, and he didn't leave the ranch, and we'll get there.
Okay.
Well,
All right.
we won't get there, but anyway, why don't we go to night 2?
Let's go to night 2.
Please, God, let's go to night 2. It's
Okay.
already 8:20.
All right. So first match was McIntyre and Seth Rollins, and
Mhm.
I have to, if you weren't going to, I have to commend Seth Rollins, whoever decided on his entrance. They used the Philadelphia Mummers, who are costumed patrons, I don't know what you would call them, who participate in the New Year's Eve parade or New Year's Day parade
Okay.
in Philadelphia. I thought I was in New Orleans. Like the costumes were incredible. And did you see how many people there were? Like there had to be 50 people. It was amazing. Can you imagine what that meant to the city of Philadelphia? Like that was a real home run, if you ask me.
Yeah, I hope they keep this theme up where they
Mhm.
take the city they are, because you don't think that way about Philadelphia. Maybe somebody's
Right.
eating a cheesesteak or something. They'll be goofy like
Which
that.
they had a mini belt in a cheesecake in a cheesesteak holder. It
Okay,
sold out.
but that's great. But
Yeah.
but to me, I hope they do this with every city they go to. I hope they really theme it like that, because they did really well with Philadelphia on this.
Absolutely. Could not agree more. So I want to hear what you guys thought about the match.
Well, I thought it was a great match to start with, because it was a great match. I mean, two fantastic competitors. They put storyline into the match. They had CM Punk on commentary. Obviously, that was part of the storyline there too. There's a little head shake I saw from Andrew.
I saw the eye
But
roll.
I thought this was a very eventful way to start night 2,
Yes.
and I thought it was excellent.
Yeah, so fuck CM Punk. And I got my shit in. He's worse than hockey, worse than Bret Hart. So this match was really good. It was really, really good.
And it's the first match too.
it's the
That's
first
what really
match.
got me.
Yeah. And it was the pace setter. And to Rhea and Becky's credit, they set the pace too.
Absolutely.
This match could have closed the show. It really could have. And the one we saw the first night could have closed the show. That's when you're hitting your stride, is when you've got multiple options to close the show. Now let's face it. Nothing was closing the show but Cody and Roman, but they could have closed any other show. Let's put it that way. I really enjoyed the story. I thought that hitting him with the Claymore right out the gate, Drew doing some heel shit, like tweeting live with his wife gave him the phone and he's tweeting during the match. But he couldn't stop with the CM Punk thing, and he won clean. Let's face it, he won clean. And then CM Punk attacks him after he'd been antagonized. I mean, it was very smart. And then, of course, here comes Damian Priest, our Yankees fan, Damian Priest, who got to meet the judge today. By the way, Terry, the Yankees are 9-2. You're welcome. My man
We'll get to that in
Giancarlo.
show 2. Keep that out of here. This is
Giancarlo hit a home run, hit the slam.
I don't know the Braves record. I'm sure they're doing pretty good. But
Yeah, 9-2.
let's talk wrestling, sir. Move on.
Priest met the Yankees today, so he met Aaron Judge. But finally, as we really predicted in all of our lead up on the Ram Network, that's Wrestling and More, we suspected Seth Rollins was not leaving Philadelphia with the title, and there would be some sort of cash in. Now, I thought Rollins would beat McIntyre. McIntyre would beat him down. Instead, they used a CM Punk, and that's fine too. But now we have a new world champion in Damian Priest, and nice to see him get the nod.
Yes.
Very nice to see him get the nod.
I will tell you,
Yeah.
again, it was the night of pops. When Damian Priest's music hit, I'll admit I was waiting for it. I knew what was happening, like I could see it. So I had my camera trained on it because I was capturing video for my son. And just the screams and the roar that erupted when his music hit, it was phenomenal. I had a little boy next to me who was like, "How did you know that was going to happen?" I said, "I had an idea. I don't know."
Yeah, this was the right spot for that. I thought they played this whole thing well. I mean, this was so eventful, so many different angles here. It ended up really well. And it's one of those things, it's like, what happens next? That's what you really want to know after WrestleMania. What happens next with all that just happened?
Well, and let's face it, Punk and McIntyre's big enough the championship doesn't matter.
Right.
I agree.
They don't need the championship to fight over because their issue is larger than the World Wrestling Federation World Heavyweight title or World Wrestling Entertainment Heavyweight title. Went old school there with the Federation talk. But bottom line is they don't need the championship to fight over. And that means that we're really watching a compelling story. And of course, I'll be cheering for Drew McIntyre. And I hope he takes that sword out and just cuts CM Punk's head off. And I'll be fine with it.
So
Highlander style.
Yeah, I've been forward about, in the past at least, Drew McIntyre being kind of a snooze fest for me in main events at WrestleMania and other pay-per-views, but he's much better. He's kind of growing on me a little bit. He's still not my favorite to be up there, but I do like this storyline. I like this back and forth with CM Punk, and I'm ready to see what happens next. So,
well, if I may, Terry, he's got a story.
He does.
He was the COVID champion, and he can't help that.
Right.
That he was the COVID champ. I think he carried that banner as well as he could, meaning the world title, not the COVID champion banner. But he'll never be able to divorce himself from that because Roman didn't want to wrestle during COVID.
Right.
Lesnar wasn't around. I mean, Braun Strowman, you had the whole transitional thing that was really weird. But Drew stuck around, did what he could do, but people weren't watching wrestling then, not in the same way. It was hard to watch wrestling when you've got digital figures on the screen in the arena. You got empty arena matches every single week. It was a weird time for professional wrestling, and they survived it, and he led the way. And I don't think he gets enough credit for that, but this is a very compelling story. Even if I don't like CM Punk, and even if I think CM Punk will get injured the first or second time there's more physicality, because that's who he is, Glassjaw Phil. But it happens, I don't apologize for it not liking CM Punk, but I don't think that Drew McIntyre has gotten the credit he deserves for who he is either. So,
true. All right.
So let's move on to match 2. As we said, match 1 was excellent for more than just the match. Obviously, we're waiting to see what happens there. Match 2, a lot of names involved here.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at my notes and I'm like, did I even put what the match was? So the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley win this one.
Also known as the Pride.
Is that what they are? See, I can't keep up with all these.
Yeah, versus the Final Testament or Judge, the final
Karrion Kross and
AOP.
AOP.
Authors of Pain.
Okay.
Yes.
But I'm sitting here, all the names. Bubba Ray Dudley.
Yes.
Guest ref. We got Paul Ellering.
Yep.
And Scarlett. I can't leave out Scarlett.
yeah.
My father's favorite. George loves Scarlett.
That's for
and
you,
we'll tell my
George.
mom.
Lex loves
Yep.
Scarlett.
Lex loves Scarlett. All
I
right, you
guess
know what? That's enough of that.
So, sorry, I need a minute on that one. And then Snoop Dogg on commentary.
Yes.
Man, they brought a bunch of people to this one.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't remember the match nearly as much as I remember Snoop Dogg's commentary being excellent. I
And
remember there was a spot in the corner with Bubba Ray Dudley where
yeah.
somebody, I can't remember who it was, kind of shoved him, was giving him crap, and he takes his glasses out and puts them on, and that was excellent.
Karrion Kross. Yeah. Cross was
Okay.
shoving him. Yeah.
And I wrote a quote down from Snoop Dogg at the end of the match. He said, "I got to get to the green room so I can celebrate with the team." And I thought that was excellent. Very Snoop.
Did JD Hoop do Street Profits gear this time?
He did indeed. As well as Bobby Lashley's, LA Knight, Cody Rhodes, Jimmy Uso.
God,
All were done by JD Hoop this year.
love JD Hoop. God, that man is so
It's
talented.
impressive. And he's got a team. It's him and J Rod,
Right.
or I think that guy's name, and then Sandra does
Right.
all the actual sewing. But
Yep.
this is how creative he is and how good he is. The biggest star in professional wrestling wore his gear not only on night 1, but night 2, because the gear was different.
Yep.
Hats off to JD Hoop. Very,
Absolutely.
very,
Always.
very talented artist. And a better person, if that's possible.
Yes.
His how he is as a person exceeds his artistic ability if you were to
Totally agree.
measure both.
And if we go back to Chicago,
Mhm.
he took the picture.
The picture. That's
He
right.
took the Terry position.
Of the Terry
that is
pose.
right.
Yeah.
And that was a great shot. Had so
That
many
was.
folks in it. Didn't have everybody in it, but it had who
Nope.
was there.
Yep.
And we love that. But any thoughts on this match? Like I said, I don't remember a whole lot about the match. I remember everything surrounding the match.
The
It
bad
was-
thing was when the Street Profits, when the table broke prematurely on them, Philly looked like they were going to shit on him, and then they played into it and said, hey, give us another chance, whatever. Good for them, because Philly can turn on anybody in a minute.
Mhm.
I think it was an okay match. It was a get you on the card match. It wasn't really it didn't really do anything for me. I didn't like the idea of it being a street fight, but whatever. I mean, and like you said, you got the hometown hero Bubba Ray as the former ECW guy. You get the Street Profits, you get Bobby Lashley. The spot that I mentioned earlier, though, I don't know her name, so forgive me, but the girl with Bobby Lashley took Scarlett down through the table blind. They did it backwards without being able to see where they were going. Dangerous spot, in my opinion. And I understand they're prefab tables. It's off the apron. It's 4.5 feet in the air, but you're doing it blind. Like, you're not looking where you're going. And to me, that was unnecessarily dangerous. Again, I watch wrestling different now that I'm older. I'm like, oh,
it's like,
not the car
my
crash
back would be in rough shape.
I would be dead. I wouldn't get up. Let's be honest.
Oh, I sneezed. I'm out for a week.
Exactly. My poor dog today, speaking of injuries, jumped out of the car. She had to go to the vet. She's 11 tomorrow. She had to have her nails done and her shampoo and blood work and all this stuff because she's a baby.
Wait,
she jumps out the car. Yeah, she sprained her back leg, it looks like.
No.
Because she jumped out of a pickup truck and she's not supposed to jump, but she didn't wait for me. And so now she's limping around on 3 legs and she landed flat out. So I'm watching her because she's in the bedroom, but she's laying on her bed. So hopefully she's okay. But
take it easy, girl.
Yeah, well,
don't try to do too much.
And happy early.
Well, and her birthday is tomorrow. Yeah, she's 11, the old heifer. But
God, I can't wait to hear what you call me at my next birthday. I'm gonna be 48.
Vegas, so you'll probably be drunk. So
that's right. Okay, I won't care.
It won't care. It won't matter.
So why don't we talk about? You got anything else to say about that one before we move on?
No, we're good.
Let's go to next one.
I just wanted to give you all an explanation as to why I keep looking off camera.
Oh, that's okay. So we got LA Knight and AJ Styles. LA Knight handed some car keys to a lady on the front row as he came down. So that was kind of interesting. But this is two
There was
solid
a
wrestlers.
there
you
was
know?
a Slim Jim contest, and the lady
Right.
won the contest. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
But
awesome for that lady.
I think the
Congratulations
idea
to
was
her.
though that she didn't get excited about it at all, and
No.
she
I
had that
think she
awesome
knew,
she had that awesome seat everybody wants now, right
Yeah.
by the stairs where everybody comes in, and she was just kind of like,
Right. Yeah, and I think she probably wouldn't be sitting in that seat had she not already known. So I mean, it's just one of those things. It's not like unless they put like 5 or 6 people, you might be one of these people. That would be rough. Here's a front row seat, and it's down to 5 or something. That would suck. But anyway, like I said, solid match, 2 solid competitors. It's good to see LA Knight get something good. Um, solid match, nothing more, nothing less, I guess.
So I thought this match was going to be bigger.
hmm
Nah,
was it just there?
it was just there. It
I
was
think it's a
fl-
stepping stone.
It
Honestly, I think it's LA
was.
Knight getting a win at WrestleMania to begin something.
That's what they need to do with it anyway, because otherwise, I agree with Allison. Not that we have to agree, because obviously I've got some hot opinions about this main event we're going to talk about. But I think that was almost a SmackDown main event match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're filling up
And
2
the
nights with some matches that don't really belong.
and the right person won though, because
that's
no
okay.
offense to
I agree.
AJ, if you're going to heat LA Knight back up, he had to win. He had to win.
That's right.
Yeah.
So why don't we move on to the next match?
Let's
I think
just do
we
that.
kind of agree on that one.
Oh, wait a minute. One more thought. Hold on, because I just thought of this. They spent a lot of time. No, because this is relevant.
No, go
They
ahead.
spent a lot of time with the blood feud. He goes to his house. He gets arrested.
Yeah.
If you guys saw the press conference at WrestleMania, or not the press conference, they're doing the pressers. All of a sudden, LA Knight attacks AJ Styles. And he calls he calls AJ a pussy. And AJ says, "I'm gonna fucking kill you." And that like he's bleeding from the mouth. That match did not deliver
It did
on
not.
that video package. That was my thought on the match.
Yeah, the match was
it
definitely the
didn't
low point.
it did not stand up to the hype. No LA Knight pun intended, yeah. But it did not meet what we expected to see. If that's the blood, because you just pulled the Austin Pillman angle out of your car, or Triple H and Randy Orton having him go to your damn house, and then you didn't do anything with it. I guess that was the point. But now we can move on.
Okay.
So let
Before
me
I get
introduce
tangential.
this match by saying this. So Kevin Owens in a golf cart. Randy Orton comes out. He throws it in reverse, Terry. Backs it way back up the ramp. Says, "Get in." And Randy Orton gets on top, and he darn near goes so fast that he throws both of them out of the thing on the way
I was just
down.
going to ask you, did anybody else see the terrified look on Randy Orton's face when Kevin Owens hit the gas?
But man, it's one of those things where that did set up the way the match went, because I thought it was really creative the way they worked with Owens and Orton working with each other on Paul at the beginning. And you knew there had to be a time to turn it, and they played to that, and they had discussions about that. And I got a couple of quotes in my notes here where there was a quote where Owens said, "I know we can't both win, but we don't have to do this now." And that's right after they both tried to pin Paul.
Oh, nice.
And then they said, okay. And then Randy tries a RKO, and Kevin blocks it. And then they go, "Do you want to do this now?" Okay. And then they start pounding away. I thought that sequence was fantastic.
Yeah, see, a lot of that I missed when I
Right.
was there, and that's why I watched it again, because I'm like, I wanted to see. I knew I would miss stuff, but that was tremendous. I have to say, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I did not I am very much done with a guy in the prime bottle shtick. Like,
Yeah, that's
that's enough. Half of us are too old, and we don't know who these people are.
Right.
Okay, I had to ask the kid next to me, a like 12-year-old kid, who that was, and he knew, and I did it, and I was like, "Well, this is bad. This is not good."
He did shove him pretty hard though.
Yeah. Oh no. Hey, the spot was great, but
yeah,
I think we're all done. Like I think we're
think
all
so.
done with that.
Let's get beyond that and move
Yeah.
to something else.
Logan Paul is a professional wrestler. He is a
Absolutely.
star. He's got the right guy pushing him
Absolutely.
in Triple H. And I love the fact, and I don't know if y'all saw it, he, after his match, goes up to the press box, and when John Cena comes out, he popped like a little kid in the main event.
He was right above me.
So it was
That's so
that was
good.
really good. But no, Logan Paul is a star. For somebody who is not a trained professional wrestler, meaning this isn't what I intended to do my whole life, like Kevin Owens is, like Randy Orton, who was a natural. Use those words to describe Dustin Rhodes and Barry Windham and Randy Orton. I think Paul just has it. He has it, and he has a lot of it. And then he backs it up with his athleticism.
Yes.
Who's got a prettier frog splash in wrestling right now?
Nobody.
Nobody.
Or a buckshot lariat, and he
I
got
don't know. That
both
one
of them
Snoop
with
Dogg
it.
did on Dynamite that night. It's pretty good.
And Snoop Dogg doesn't care what company it is, as
Nope.
long as he can blaze and watch wrestling and maybe do a little commentary.
He's a happy man. Happy man.
But
And
yeah,
why
this one
shouldn't he?
ends pretty good. Randy with an RKO on KO. And then Paul comes in and throws Randy out and does a frog splash on Kevin
Steals
Owens
it.
and retains. And it was a good
Yep.
sequence to end,
Fabulous.
I thought.
Nobody
Great
was
match.
upset. Nobody. And I love Kevin Owens, and I wasn't upset.
Yeah.
Nope.
So let's move on to the next match. We got 2 left.
So Bailey was my hair person, my number one hair person for night 2. Her hair was tremendous. They did a great job with it. I couldn't tell what color they dyed it, but it looked really, really good. I liked the little braids. I liked her entrance was great. She's now what was she saying? Role model? That's her new thing?
Well, that was her old thing.
Well, old thing,
Wasn't
new
it?
thing. Well, I guess she's bringing
Yeah.
it back.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I want to
am
see
not
her bragging. I want to see her take a belt and talk
see
about how badass she is. That's what I want to see from Bayley.
yes, I am not a fan of I like heel Bailey. I wasn't a fan of the happy whatever Bailey. I wanted her to go away and never come back.
Yeah, don't give me those pigtails. I don't want to see.
No, this Bailey I'm good with.
And it was a great wrestling match, and I think
was.
we highly underestimated how good this match would be because Io Sky and Bailey put on a damn clinic. And
This
it goes
is
again.
proof to me. I'm sorry to cut in. This is proof
Yeah,
to
man.
me that women's wrestling is not a gimmick anymore.
No, the strength of the roster is ridiculous, and I will say it till I'm blue in the face, and I'm often very red, that they could do a 2-hour show, women only, WWE. And it wouldn't be boring, and you'd
would
never
watch
run out of material.
Again.
Yeah.
'Cause
And I mean,
they've done it.
Monday Night Raw on Netflix
Yeah.
could be an
I
all-women
agree.
show.
Bring back
All-women show.
Glow. I'll be freaking thrilled.
Yeah.
Oh,
Are you kidding me?
Oh, I used to watch that. Also,
Oh
and
my God! Don't even
this
get
is
me
not a
started.
wrestling comment, but I believe we used to see what was it, the roller derby right before Glow came
Yep.
on. God, I love that too.
I love
Right.
roller derby.
Where we watch some old roller.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to do that because roller derby
Okay.
is the shit.
Oh
We
God,
can
that was
play,
so...
you know.
Oh, sure.
Oh my
Anyway.
goodness. Okay, anyway. Next. Okay.
So,
So
this
that match.
yeah.
Let's talk about the match. I thought it was a technical masterpiece. I personally thought, like Andrew said, they put on a clinic. I highly enjoyed it. Very, very pleased with the outcome. I didn't think it was going to go any other way though, especially because all right, you guys know I always do this. All of their promoting of her mental health stuff, like them really bringing that into it, like she's feeling down and anxious and this and that, and she's not, just like they did with Sami Zayn, you know, with the losing the self-confidence and then needing to build it back up. And I feel like that's what they did with Bailey here too. And I thought they did a really good job.
It's great. And I'm glad to see Bailey on the upward path. That's good for WWE Women's Division. She's great. She gets overshadowed a lot by the other names, and she deserves to be right there.
I agree.
Let's
I
talk
very
about a
much
main
agree.
event. We want to talk about a main event now? Move
A
forward with that?
58-minute main event with entrances, baby.
And with all the complaints that we're going to hear and all this stuff,
It
Yep.
isn't a complaint, it's a criticism and it's valid, but go ahead, sir.
So my first note here was Cody's entrance is always spot on. And it was this time, but then Roman's entrance was too. So I mean, right from
Wait.
the catch.
Nope.
Go ahead.
Don't go off of Cody's entrance because I want to point something out that I'm not sure everybody really paid much attention to. Brandy was prominently featured.
Mhm.
I think there is foreshadowing here. That's just me. But I think they're introducing her on TV for a reason.
Well, and I also
Well,
want to
bringing her
point out
back.
she was dressed like she was ready to wrestle.
Correct. Yes, she was.
She wasn't just the wife of the
Nope.
champion.
Not at all.
So we'll see what happens with that.
So
I thought it was an interesting decision since they didn't have any physicality. But yes, Brandy Rhodes still looks like a damn 10.
Mhm.
She can rock that gymnastic leotard or swimsuit, whatever you want to call it. But you are right. The presentation, she does elevate him.
absolutely.
She's a beautiful, powerful woman. People think she's ratchet because of some of the things she did in AEW. She is a accent on the American Nightmare presentation for sure, and a big one, one. And she has been there. People can't remember. She was with WWE.
Yep.
She left with him. They went to Ring of Honor together in New Japan and founded AEW together. So she is truly his tag team partner. And so there is a confidence and a short hand that the two of them have, and a ability to have a different presentation. I don't know if WWE fans will accept her in any other role than what she has been in the past, but it is a new era, as we talked about several times. So did see that, did notice it, and then they sent her to the back. So I was okay. Well, there that goes.
I know. Well, I'll be honest. I thought maybe she was going to have a role, so I got a little excited.
Yeah, the
I was
wrestling
like,
gear. Yeah,
I was like, all right, this is awesome. We're going to get the premiere. You know, she's coming back. This is going to be amazing. But then nothing, and I was like, all right, well. Then again, I got distracted, so there was
Stuff happening.
I mean, more of my bucket list items were getting checked off all night.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well,
you're
and like
still
I say,
there, right in the ring. We can see you. Oh, stupid joke. Anyway, carry on.
well, and then Roman comes out.
Yes.
And you talked about presence. We've talked about it with Jade Cargill and The Rock. Roman Reigns is presence. He comes out. He's got the traditional Samoan garb with the necklace. I don't know what they call it. I apologize. The lei. He's got the title. He's got Paul Heyman looking at him like he's a snack.
Doing this,
praising him, and everything Roman does is intentional. It matters. Every movement, everything, to the point where he had tears in his eyes when he looked up. It's his brother's date of his brother's passing, I believe, or his birthday, one or the other. Rosie was his brother, for those of you who don't know, and who passed away. Joe, I forget his real name because Roman is Joe, but I forget what Rosie's name was. But anyway, he walks to the ring. He looks like a man that has had a 1,316-day reign as the world champion. And it doesn't bother me that he's had an average title defense of 42 days and change, as I pointed out to Pondwater Dave. Mathematically, that's what he had defenses. Roman is big game wrestling. He doesn't have to be on TV every week. And if you were going to put somebody in the spot to slay the dragon, it was Cody Rhodes. And Roman is one hell of a dragon to defeat because somehow, some way, he has always won. And this presentation of Roman Reigns, the lights, the music, I mean, Philly is electric anyway. And then you bring him out
again at the live music and the women singing his it's just like a hum. I don't even know what to call it because there's no words, but there
Right.
were women singing it. It was amazing.
No. Yeah, and that set the stage
Yes.
for one of the best WrestleMania main events I've seen in a long time,
Mhm.
up to the point where I believe it was overbooked, which, we are going to get to.
But there was one thing, and let me cut in a little bit here.
Well, no,
There was
that's why I
one
said
thing.
we're not at the end yet. Go ahead, Terry.
Yeah, there was one thing that I saw set up pretty early in the match. Roman had Cody on the ropes, and he said, "I'm gonna send you to Hollywood with the rest of them. This is my company, you little bitch." And I
Yep.
thought, man, they're
Oh,
pulling us in hard.
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah. I
Yeah,
didn't
it's good.
catch that.
It was excellent storytelling all the way through. Roman, thanks to COVID, has learned how to talk shit,
Oh
and
yeah,
he has gotten to be a really good promo. And he cutting a promo in the ring the whole time he's wrestling. He knows where the camera is. He knows what to say. He's clearly spent some money at the dentist with those pearly white teeth because they show up on the damn 8K or whatever it is these days.
Yeah.
But this match, the pacing, the timing, the movements,
Mhm.
it didn't bother me that you saw them lock up the night before. It really didn't. It did not bother me that you saw physicality with them the night before. And Roman is an excellent professional wrestler. I think sometimes people still have the 2015 stench Roman Reigns, the Roman that Philly booed out of the building with The Rock standing next to him at the Rumble. This is not that Roman Reigns
not at
anymore.
all.
Even if he
Far
was
superior to that.
even if he was a baby face, this is not that Roman Reigns anymore. This Roman Reigns is not going to go out and willingly say "suffer and succotash" again. Uh, this Roman Reigns is a legit Samoan badass, and this is how they should have presented him in the first place.
Yeah.
This guy's a former D1 athlete. Now I sound like Jim Ross talking about all the football accolades, but he played defensive end at the University of Georgia Tech. Okay, this is a bad ass, and he's
Yep.
265 pounds, and he moves like a gazelle inside the ring. He knows where
Yep.
he is at all times, and
I
he
think
is the champ. And
I
that's the mountain Cody had to conquer.
That's right.
I agree, and I think that's for me what made that such an amazing match is that it was physicality left and right. I mean, spear, Superman punch, crossroads, over and over and over and over again from both of them. I have to say, I I felt like the time we saw who was the first one, Solo, to come in the ring. No, or was it The
Jimmy.
Rock?
Jimmy.
It was
Jimmy.
Jimmy first.
Yeah,
Okay.
it
Yeah.
took a while. That's what I was going to point out.
That's what
They
I
had
was
a
saying.
very good match before it happened.
That's my
Yeah.
point. So I judged this match in two different ways, like Andrew. There's the match, and then there's when everybody else came in.
The Gaga.
Yeah.
Right.
So the match part, phenomenal. Again,
It was.
you could have kept going, and I would have kept watching. Nobody was moving in the whole place. Everybody was glued to their seats. You know how sometimes you see people leaving early? Nobody left early.
Oh, you better.
Ever. Like nobody around me, nobody, you couldn't see anything. That's why getting home was a nightmare, but that's another story. But
Yeah, get a party bus. You don't have
yeah,
to worry about it.
exactly. But
Don't
it
throw up.
was no. So Terry. So anyway, so I love this match, and then what I'll call the special guest start arriving. So let's get into that.
Jimmy first, thwarted by Jay. And they got the spot in with the table. But you had already seen Jay beat Jimmy earlier in the night.
Yep.
And beat him clean.
Mm-hmm.
And got to do the yeet celebration. So it didn't add anything to this match for me.
No, I agree.
Not at all.
John Cena, on the other hand,
wait.
coming
So
out.
Solo first.
Solo
Wasn't it?
Solo
Solo
first.
was
Solo
next, yeah.
is the one I am going to say that I actually thought went well. I think he was well placed. I think he should have interrupted.
Played it well.
They played it very, very well.
Yeah,
what's it called?
Cody's about to hit the crossroads, and he hits him with the spike out of
throwing spike.
nowhere. Like the
Yes.
camera, the way they shot it,
Yep.
all of a sudden he was in the shot. Like you had no idea he was there.
Mhm.
You may have in the arena. You guys may have seen him.
No, we didn't. I'll tell you, we didn't. Nobody was paying
But
attention.
On the TV, watching the Peacock, you had no idea Solo was in the ring till he hit that spike in Cody's neck as Cody's holding Roman up, getting ready to hit the crossroads. You had no idea he was there until he was there. That was really, really well done. That was a really well done piece of interference there, and good video. That's one thing Terry and I've talked about. You agree with us, Allison? The video that I almost said AEW, that WWE has been producing post Kevin Dunn. The production is fantastic.
Tremendous.
And I think it's better.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that, and then we get Cena. And it makes sense because Cena comes out.
Well, before Cena, I did want to point this out on the sequence with Solo. You know, you had the first thing, Solo interrupted and there was a spike, and then Cody kicked out. But then they did a spear spike combo.
Oh yeah, and Cody kicked out of that too.
And Solo's just like really astonished that happened, and that's where the camera was on him, like he couldn't believe that it wasn't over at that point.
Yeah,
and I thought that was great.
That's a great tandem move too. Honestly, it's a great tandem move.
But you carry on with John Cena. I interrupted you there.
No, I was just gonna say, and then John Cena comes out to even the odds. He's gonna get the big pop. It makes sense because Cena had his matches with The Rock. Cena had his interference with Solo, or his dealing with Solo. He put Solo through the table, and out comes The Rock. And The Rock, pissed off, cussing, hollering the whole way. One move against the greatest wrestling champion of the modern era. It didn't make sense because I get he's The Rock, but you didn't get a slugfest. You didn't get an exchange. John Cena goes down to the rock bottom. The 16-time world champion, Cena wins LOL, goes down to one move by 51-year-old Dwayne Johnson.
Why is it a finishing move right now when it's not?
Yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like that aspect of it because it didn't make a lot of sense. This is the same two people that headline not one, but two WrestleManias.
Okay, so I'm gonna call a timeout. I want to give you what it was like to be in that. I keep calling it an arena, but whatever. In that arena during
stadium,
this time.
yeah,
stadium. There you go. Thank you. Things were happening so fast that we did not. Now remember, we don't have the commentary like you do, but things are happening so fast that we do not know what is happening, and another person's coming out, and another one's coming out, and another. So to defend this a little bit, it kind of felt like they were just going for pops. I couldn't have cared less about the story between Rock, Cena. Andrew, I'm giving you the God's honest truth. I was screaming my head off because Cena and The Rock are in the ring wrestling. What 46-year-old Allison, you could not have bet me $1 million that I would see this. 47-year-old Allison would see this live. That's kind of what I'm saying.
Shame.
No.
Shame.
Hey,
you're supposed to be a purist like me.
Nope.
No,
this
I know.
Pure excitement.
Rock comes out, and go ahead, Terry. Before we get the final part of the cluster.
No, I was headed there. So if you got something to say about Rock, go ahead.
Hold on a second, though. Did we miss something?
Mm-mm.
Did you guys see? Didn't Seth Rollins come out?
It was next. That was the next thing.
Oh,
God.
Here comes. Here comes.
Yeah.
Here comes Shield.
I thought I had it out of order.
Yeah.
The Shield music. Here comes the Shield music.
So they play the music, right? They put it up on the screen. Right. Everybody in the stadium is looking. We're looking up. We're looking around because we're like, where the hell are they going to come in from? Yes, and is John Moxley here?
And I'm calling
or
John
as
Moxley.
Everybody around me was saying Dean Ambrose because they had no idea who John Moxley was.
But they were waiting because he comes through the crowd. That was how the Shield did it.
That's exactly it. Yeah. So we're all looking around at the entrances and we don't see. And then all of a sudden Seth is in the ring and we're like, what? Huh? What?
Yeah, I might have missed that before The Rock. I apologize if I did, but I forget the sequence. But yeah, Seth Rollins is
No, it
in,
was after The Rock.
and then Roman took him out. Like Roman took him out pretty quick.
Immediately.
Yeah,
He
it
stepped
happened
in,
so quick.
but then he
Yeah.
did get a chair shot to Roman's back
Mm.
eventually, and I think
Yeah.
that was the symbolic part of that.
Yeah. And then we get The Rock and The Undertaker instead of Stone Cold. Now, for people
That
who don't know, WrestleMania 15 took place in Philly, headlined by The Rock and Stone Cold. And I don't know how WWE couldn't get Steve Austin off his couch for $1 million pop in Philly, but Stone Cold in that spot makes far more sense than The Undertaker.
Yeah.
I understand The Undertaker is arguably Mr. WrestleMania, and I know we may talk about that, but Stone Cold, the pop in Philly, because it's a throwback to what they did. I don't know how H drops the ball there. I don't know how they don't, unless there's a Vince thing or whatever, or if there really was a scheduling conflict. Because if the glass had shattered night two in front of 75,000 people, you go ape shit. And the way you do it is the same way he helped Mick Foley win the world title when that pop shook the damn television screen. He comes out, hits Rock with the chair. They're out of the ring. Cody and Roman get to finish it up. And then he gets to drink a beer with Cody, and he's off and on his way. And you just paid the man $1 million to show up for 5 minutes worth of work, knowing that it was worth it. They didn't do that. Instead, we get the lights out. Here comes the Taker, hits Rock with the choke slam. Lights go back out, and they're both out of the ring. And I saw the video where Taker's getting hustled back to the locker room by security, but Undertaker did not belong in that spot simply because the significance of Rock Austin is 15, 17, 19. They wrestled at 15, they wrestled at 17, they wrestled at 19, and 19, The Rock retired Austin. There is so much meat there, and you couldn't get Austin. My point is, don't do it. And so this is where I'm at when I called it overbooked bullshit in the group chat and got booed. Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, the son of a plumber, the son of a plumber, Dusty's kid, for one night only, should have been more than enough to conquer the bloodline. Out comes Jimmy. He disposes of Jimmy with the crossroads. Out comes Solo. Solo attacks him. He takes care of Solo. Now it's just The Rock. Here comes The Rock. He takes care of The Rock. So that doesn't make a lot of sense any more than having 3 different people come out and help him. So if you want to make Cody Rhodes Superman, don't tug on his cape. Make him fucking Superman. And that is why I thought that it was overbooked. There was no need for Cena, no need for Taker, no need for Jey Uso, because Cody Rhodes, even if it's for one night only, was so determined to win the world championship and finish the story and do what his dad couldn't do against Superstar back in the 70s. He was going to get it done. And he was going to do it by himself. And that makes you a much better babyface than the way they did it, in my opinion. But he got the win. And let's be honest, there was no way he was leaving Philly without the championship. And that's, I guess, I know there's a lot of people.
Popular opinion, though. Popular opinion in the stadium was 50-50.
We got a lot of friends.
I was pretty surprised.
We got a lot of friends that are emotionally invested in this, and I'm going to give you all a peek behind the curtain. This is how emotionally divested in this I was. I believed it was a foregone conclusion to the point when I'm putting the Arn Anderson podcast notes together Sunday morning before the match ever took place. I wrote, and Cody won the world championship and finished the story on Sunday night. What do you think about that? I put it right in the notes because I knew Cody Rhodes was winning the world title. And for me, I know there are people that are invested. We have a couple very good friends that shed tears, that love professional wrestling, that were reminded why they love professional wrestling. I don't want to embarrass anybody, but we all have the text messages. I'm not that guy. I was not invested in Cody that much because to me, there was no way he's leaving Philly without the title.
Yeah.
You talk about a riot. This is the town that boos Santa Claus and cheers the Horsemen, and they love the Rhodes family. So if you had sent them out without Cody in that championship, there ain't no damn way. There is 100% no way that Roman Reigns left Philly with the title.
Right. I mean, it's tough. It's kind of like obviously it's way better than the NWO, but it was something that kept going, kept going, kept going, kept going. It's like, how are you going to do this? I kind of wonder if it was a great decision that these two things came together here. Maybe it would have been easier to do it had it not been also part of Cody finally doing this. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. But I
I
think
don't
something
want to
huge
shit
had
on
to happen.
everybody's moment. Yeah, I don't want to shit on
Well,
everybody's moment. I know there are people that love Cody Rhodes
it
that are
had to be.
invested in Cody Rhodes, but to me it had to be Cody Rhodes. There was no choice.
But I think
Idiot.
there were some competing things here. I think something huge had to happen for the bloodline to go away,
Yes.
and that happens. But then you want Cody to be able to do it by himself, and I don't know. I'm sitting here rebooking all this, but I loved it anyway. I know it's not perfect. They get themselves in a spot, especially when they go to a new era and things are being controlled by other people. Maybe they said, we got to do something now. We got to do it big and we got to move forward. So I'm not too critical of it. I understand your point, especially the one about The Undertaker there, Andrew. I get your point if they were going to do it with Stone Cold,
Yeah.
it makes it better. I kind of wonder if there might have been something that conflicted with that, but we'll see.
And
It was
again, it's my opinion, guys. I'm not trying to convince anybody. I know there's a bunch of Cody fans. He made $1 million in merchandise this weekend. People love Cody Rhodes.
Hey,
I'm
I'm
a
one of those
Dusty
people.
guy.
I
Yeah,
I
I'm a
bought a
Dusty
shirt for my
guy.
son.
So,
So
and I'm not criticizing that. What I'm
Yeah.
thinking is, if he's your superhero, if this is the new Superman that's going to defend the city from all the villains and all in Metropolis, he's going to be the guy to stop everybody. Then justify him being the Superman. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, we don't really do.
I'm gonna jump off,
Starving?
guys.
Okay.
So have a good rest of your show.
Thank you for
Sounds-
joining us.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. So I'll just ask you since she dropped off before I asked. We don't normally do like star ratings or anything like that. What would you give just overall the whole 2 nights, what it means? 5-star
4
scale. Okay.
4 stars. What it as a wrestling show, 4 stars. What it means for the future of the company, I think they knocked it out of the park and it's 5 stars. The
Yeah,
Triple
I'll
H
go with
era
4.5 based on the same thing.
is
Yeah.
in full effect. Yeah, if you're talking about the larger ramifications for the future of WWE, they hit it out of the
Yeah.
park. If you're just talking about the professional wrestling, I give it 4 stars. Now, I'm one of those people, and there have been 23 other WrestleManias. I believe 17 was the best.
Mhm.
But I was 15 years old or 16 years old. That's right in that wheelhouse, where you eat, sleep, and breathe it at that time. It was everything. And it was Stone Cold and The Rock, and it was My Way, and it was Limp Bizkit, and it was Houston, Texas, and the whole deal. And they fucked up the ending when Vince and Stone Cold joined forces, as far as I'm concerned. But top to bottom, best WrestleMania I think that they've ever created. This one was very, very, very good. Not disappointing, but I think the larger implications give it that 5-star rating for me. Make it, that's 5 stars. The matches themselves 4 stars.
Yeah, so I did the math on those and I averaged it 4.5. So I think
We agree. Do we agree, buddy?
So we're going to do things a little bit different this week. I've already talked about having 2 episodes. We're going to tease you a little bit this week. We've got the top 10 must see WrestleMania performers, but guess what we're not doing? We're not telling you all 10 today. We're only giving you half of them. We're going to give you 10 through 6 And then we're going to end this show. You're going to have to tune in again to see the top 5. Sorry about that, but that's how we are.
That's right. And we're not doing a marathon. Oh, look at who it is. Number 10.
Right off the bat, Roman Reigns, the man who lost the other night. We talked about his presence. Number 10.
8 main events in his career at WrestleMania. He is the tribal chief. Acknowledge me. Elevated the game in wrestling. One thing I didn't mention, but you picked this shot about our night 1 coverage.
Yeah.
I love the fact that Cody's dejected in the ring after taking the people's elbow in the pin. Rock and Roman lift the titles in unison. Paul Heyman with the pose here. It's the exact same pose as when Cody lost last year. That illusion back 365 makes all the difference. And he was part of it. Roman Reigns absolutely belongs on this list. I'd argue 10's a little low based on his record at WrestleMania. But I get it. But I'm glad to see him on that list.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, he definitely has a presence, and he's been a big must-see performer.
Yes, sir.
Number 9, Charlotte Flair.
That was a Pondwater Dave skewing the scale there. We love Pondwater, partnered here on the Wrestling and More Network. But the Queen was injured this year, did not wrestle in WrestleMania, but she was part of the very first women's main event on WrestleMania. Hard to say that she doesn't belong on this list, in my opinion, Terry.
Yeah, she's got presence, just like we said, Roman Reigns. I mean, this is the women's side of having presence, and she makes an entrance every time. She's had great matches. She's very athletic, and that's beyond being the daughter of a legend. She's
Correct.
done her own thing.
Yeah, she has successfully etched her own way away from Ric Flair, and that I commend her for, because it would be very easy to wallow in that shadow of the Nature Boy, and she's never let that happen.
Absolutely. Number 8, Triple H, the man in charge.
The King of
Kings. I tried to find good shots of these guys, a little bit different format, trying to get bigger pictures to really throw it out there. And this is a great shot of the man.
23 WrestleManias he had been a part of as a professional wrestler. Yeah, and the first one landed in 90 seconds to the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 12. Needless to say, his stocks went up just a little bit inside the company, Terry. Great matches with The Undertaker at 17, and then the subsequent ones in the end of an era match inside Hell in a Cell, where they brought it with Shawn Michaels as the referee. Of course, he had the match with Shawn Michaels and Chris Benoit in 2004, Chris Jericho that he wrestled. He's also wrestled Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and Batista. Definitely Triple H belongs on this list. And one thing about him is you could expect a huge entrance every WrestleMania. Once he got big, they always made it a very special part of his presentation for WrestleMania.
Absolutely. Number 7, John Cena.
It's hard to keep Super Cena off, man. He's the face of the PG era.
Showed up this time. Unexpectedly.
Yeah, WrestleMania 20, he wins the United States title from JBL. Then he goes on to win the world title the following year. I mean, Cena had quite the track record facing the likes of JBL. He beat, I actually believe he beat JBL for the world title. He beat the Big Show for United States title. He's wrestled both Triple H and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. He obviously had the matches with The Rock, The Miz, Rusev. He wrestled Rusev at WrestleMania, if I'm not mistaken. Rusev came out with the tank, the modern day Miro in AEW. He'd come out in the tank. Really interesting presentation. But yeah, Cena belongs on the list for sure, because he was Hulk Hogan of the PG era. So
absolutely. Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, this is a guy, he's been our champ of the week before.
Yep.
Huge with kids, with adults. He's been a huge part of it.
Well, and as we talked about, he popped Logan Paul coming out to help Cody, you know, and granted, Paul's a heel and he may wrestle Cody at some point, but that didn't matter because that moment, Logan Paul was a wrestling fan getting to see John Cena come make the save or try to make the save.
And our final number 6, this is the last one we're going to talk about in this episode. Randy Macho Man Savage. We got a picture here, of course, with Miss Elizabeth. I believe this is WrestleMania 7.
That would be WrestleMania 7 after he retired for the retirement match with the Ultimate Warrior there in the Los Angeles Coliseum. Or not the Coliseum, but the Los Angeles Arena because they moved it from the Coliseum. But yeah, Savage
My favorite
had...
wrestler of all time.
Yeah, so arguably Randy Savage is part of one of the greatest, if not the greatest WrestleMania matches, and that was at 3 with Ricky Steamboat in front of Pontiac Silverdome. But let's not take this for granted. At 2, it was Animal Steel. 3, it was Steamboat. 4, it was the wrestling tournament where he ends the finals with Ted DiBiase. 5, the Mega Powers explode and it's Hulk. 6, it's Dusty. 7, it's Warrior. 8, it's Ric Flair for the world title. 9, he's on commentary, and 10, it's Crush. So this is a man with quite the track record for being a professional wrestler and really a defining part or building block of rather WrestleMania and what it meant. And this was the guy you knew you were going to get a good match out of when he was on the WrestleMania card. I mean,
he did his homework. I mean, we hear about a lot of matches being scripted now, but he did it right from the start.
Yeah, and Rick Rude, just to mention this, Rick Rude and Randy Savage were the 2 people that got the best out of the Ultimate Warrior. I mean, Warrior was not a good wrestler, apparently not a very good human being, not a nice person, not easy to do business with. That being said, he got probably the very best match of Warrior's career out of him. If not, it was Hulk the year before with the help of Pat Patterson. Either way, the Macho Man was WrestleMania for the first decade. You know, he was box office and he was going to be there. And let's face it, that box office they set in Atlantic City when it was Hulk and Macho, the Mega Powers explode, a year-long story. A patient story. What does that sound like, Terry? Finishing Cody's story. A patient story where you suck people in and get them to believe that the Macho Man had a chance to defeat Hulk Hogan in front of whatever it was, 20,000 people in Atlantic City at the time because it wasn't the huge arena. But that Mega Power story is the perfect professional wrestling story, and it was with patience. And I hope, because we're talking about Cody finishing the story a year later, we get a lot more of that in WWE's presentation of professional wrestling.
All right. It's been a good night. Awesome discussion about a little bit of AEW, a whole lot of WWE, and the 10 through 6 of this week's top 10 must-see WrestleMania performers. So tune into our next episode, and that'll drop probably in a couple of days. We'll see that. We're going to record that tomorrow, I believe. So listen in on that, and you'll hear the other part of this. We'll re-go through the 10 through 6, and then we'll give you the top 5. And there'll be more because we have the NCAA basketball tournament going on. So much stuff going on this week.
Look, this is what I told you. I put the skeleton together for the notes this week. We got women's basketball. We got men's basketball. We've got coaching changes, major coaching changes inside the NCAA.
Auburn spring game.
Auburn spring game. By the way, as we were on the air today, the court ruled that there cannot be a delay in the ACC versus Florida State nonsense they've got going on with the lawsuit. We're gonna have news on that. The NAIA says transgender former or process of men becoming women can no longer compete in women's sports. And then we're going to give you the other top 10 because we only gave you 10 through 6, and we know that numbers 5 through 1 are going to be money. So, plus we have a champ of the week that we didn't even talk about.
That's right.
So
And we'll be
A
geared
lot
up
to
and
talk
ready
about.
for that. And it's been a great show. I mean, I loved every minute of this. Thank you so much, as always. Andrew, any final thoughts? Thank you, Allison. And it was great having you on again.
Final thought, no matter how much you demand it, I am not switching to decaf.
As always, love your people. Tell them you love them. Make it weird. See you next time, guys. Thanks.